Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Volume 7, Book 72, number 717. Narrated by Abu Dar. I came to the Prophet while he was wearing white clothes and sleeping. Then I went back to him again after he had got up from his sleep. He said, "Nobody says, 'None has the right to be worshipped but Allah,' and then later on he dies while believing in that, except that he will enter paradise." I said, "Even if he had committed illegal sexual intercourse and theft." I said, "Even if he had committed illegal sexual intercourse and theft." He said, "Even if he had committed illegal sexual intercourse and theft." I said, "Even if he had committed illegal sexual intercourse and thefts." He said, "Even if he had committed illegal sexual intercourse and theft, in spite of the Abu Dar's dislikeness." Abu Abdullah said, "This is at the time of death, or before it, if one repents and regrets and says, 'None has the right to be worshipped but Allah.' He will be forgiven his sins." Volume 7, Book 72, number 718. Narrated by Abba, Uthman and Nadi. While we were with Utbah bin Farqad at Adharbajan, there came Umar's letter indicating that Allah's apostle had forbidden the use of silk except this much. Then he pointed with his index and middle fingers. To our knowledge, by that he meant embroidery. Volume 7, Book 72, number 719. Narrated by Abu Uthman. While we were at Adharbajan, Umar wrote to us, "Allah's apostle forbade wearing silk except this much." Then the Prophet approximated his two fingers, index and middle fingers, to illustrate that, to us. Zuhair, the sub-narrator, raised up his middle and index fingers. Volume 7, Book 72, number 720. Narrated by Abu Uthman. While we were with Utbah, Umar wrote to us, "The Prophet said, 'There is none who wears silk in this world except that he will wear nothing of it in the hereafter.'" Abu Uthman pointed out with his middle and index fingers. Volume 7, Book 72, number 721. Narrated by Abu Uthman. As above, 719. Volume 7, Book 72, number 722. Narrated by Ibn Abi Layla. While Hudhaifa was at Al-Madan, he asked for water, whereupon the chief of the village brought him water in a silver cup. Hudhaifa threw it at him and said, "I have thrown it only because I have forbidden him to use it, but he does not stop using it." Allah's apostle said, "Gold, silver, silk and dibai, a kind of silk, are for them, unbelievers, in this world, and for you, Muslims, in the hereafter." Volume 7, Book 72, number 723. Narrated by Anas bin Malik. The Prophet said, "Whoever wears silk in this world shall not wear it in the hereafter." Volume 7, Book 72, number 724. Narrated by Thabit. I heard Ibn Zubair delivering a sermon, saying, Muhammad said, "Whoever wears silk in this world, shall not wear it in the hereafter." Volume 7, Book 72, number 725. Narrated by Ibn Zubair. I heard Umar saying, the Prophet said, whoever wears silk in this world, shall not wear it in the hereafter. Volume 7, Book 72, number 726. Narrated by Umar bin al-Khattab. Allah's Apostle said, none wears silk in this world, but he who will have no share in the hereafter. Volume 7, Book 72, number 727. Narrated by Al-Bara. The Prophet was given a silk garment as a gift, and we started touching it with our hands and admiring it. On that the Prophet said, do you wonder at this? We said, yes. He said, the handkerchiefs of Sa'd bin Mu'adh in paradise are better than this. Volume 7, Book 72, number 728. Narrated by Hudhaifa. The Prophet forbade us to drink out of gold and silver vessels, or eat in it, and also forbade the wearing of silk and dibai or sitting on it. Volume 7, Book 72, number 729. Narrated by Ibn Azib. The Prophet forbade us to use the red ma'athir and to use al-kasi. Volume 7, Book 72, number 730. Narrated by Anas. The Prophet allowed Az Zubair and Abdur Rahman to wear silk because they were suffering from an itch. Volume 7, Book 72, number 731. Narrated by Ali bin Abi Talib. The Prophet gave me a silk suit. I went out wearing it, but seeing the signs of anger on his face, I tore it and distributed it among my wives. Volume 7, Book 72, number 732. Narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. Umar saw a silk suit being sold, so he said, O Allah's Apostle, why don't you buy it so that you may wear it when delegates come to you, and also on Fridays? The Prophet said, this is worn only by him who has no share in the hereafter. Afterwards the Prophet sent to Umar a silk suit suitable for wearing. Umar said to the Prophet, you have given it to me to wear, yet I have heard you saying about it what you said. The Prophet said, I sent it to you so that you might either sell it or give it to somebody else to wear. Volume 7, Book 72, number 733. Narrated by Anas bin Malik. That he had seen Kulthum, the daughter of Allah's Apostle, wearing a red silk garment. Volume 7, Book 72, number 734. Narrated by Ibn Abbas. For 1 year I wanted to ask Umar about the two women who helped each other against the Prophet, but I was afraid of him. One day he dismounted his riding animal and went among the trees of Iraq to answer the call of nature, and when he returned, I asked him and he said, they were Aisha and Hafsa. Then he added, we never used to give significance to ladies in the days of the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, but when Islam came and Allah mentioned their rights, we used to give them their rights, but did not allow him to interfere in our affairs. Once there was some dispute between me and my wife, and she answered me back in a loud voice. I said to her, strange. You can retort in this way. She said, yes. Do you say this to me while your daughter troubles Allah's Apostle? So I went to Hafsa and said to her, I warn you not to disobey Allah and His Apostle. I first went to Hafsa and then to Salama and told her the same. She said to me, O Umar, It surprises me that you interfere in our affairs so much that you would poke your nose even into the affairs of Allah's apostle and his wives. So she rejected my advice. There was an Ansari man. Whenever he was absent from Allah's apostle and I was present there, I used to convey to him what had happened on that day. And when I was absent and he was present there, he used to convey to me what had happened as regards news from Allah's apostle. During that time all the rulers of the nearby lands had surrendered to Allah's apostle except the king of Ghassan in Sham, and we were afraid that he might attack us. All of a sudden the Ansari came and said, "A great event has happened." I asked him, "What is it? Has the Ghassani king come?" He said, "Greater than that. Allah's apostle has divorced his wives." I went to them and found all of them weeping in their dwellings, and the Prophet had ascended to an upper room of his. At the door of the room there was a slave to whom I went and said, "Ask the permission for me to enter." He admitted me and I entered to see the Prophet lying on a mat that had left its imprint on his side. Under his head there was a leather pillow stuffed with palm fires. Behold, there were some hides hanging there and some grass for tanning. Then I mentioned what I had said to Hafsa and Salama and what reply Salama had given me. Allah's apostle smiled and stayed there for 29 days and then came down. See Hadith number 648, volume 3 for details.